Before I formally introduce Prince Philippe, I would like to take a moment and extend thanks to our lunch sponsors today. First, many thanks to Barry Wheel of the Belgian Canadian Business Association and Craig Thorburn of the Belgian Canadian Chamber of Commerce Toronto for co-sponsoring today's luncheon. Thank you, Barry and Craig. And second, many thanks to James Villeneuve and Labatt Breweries for hosting today's head table reception. James has been a key member of the Canadian Club Board for the last 4 years. I thank you, James, for being with us today and want to congratulate you on your move to Belgium in January as you take on your new role as Global Head for Corporate Affairs at InBev. Our very best wishes go with you. I would also like to welcome 4 groups of students to today's lunch. They are Don Bosco Catholic Secondary School, sponsored by Alliance Atlantis Communications, George Vanier Secondary School, sponsored by GlaxoSmithKline, Northview Heights Secondary School, sponsored by Hewlett-Packard Canada, and Notre Dame Catholic Secondary School, sponsored by Scotiabank. Students, would you please stand so we can recognize you? And thank you to all of today's student sponsors. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce today's very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a very great privilege to be able to introduce to you His Royal Highness, Prince Philippe of Belgium. Across what is often called the Great Atlantic Divide, Canada and Belgium share a great deal in common, perhaps more than you might think. Bilaterally, relations between our Atlantic nations couldn't be better. Historically, Belgian immigrants have played and continue to play a strong part in Canada's economic and cultural life. Over the past century, the bond has grown even stronger. And today, Belgium is also one of Canada's most important economic and commercial partners. Our two peoples subscribe to the same political and democratic ideals, the same values of openness and tolerance, and the same pure regard for freedom. These shared views extend to our relations abroad. Multilateralism defines both our foreign policies as members of the United Nations, NATO, La Francophonie, and other international bodies that express our common vision. Together, Canada and Belgium have worked to put an end to the use of anti-personnel mines and child soldiers. We have worked together in Africa, Afghanistan, and elsewhere in the world where cries for assistance are heard. One heritage we both share is the constitutional monarchy. There may be no one better suited to speak on the relations between our two great countries than Prince Philippe. His career and interests have made him an ideal spokesman for our nation's mutual goals as partners and as citizens of the planet. Prince Philippe attended the Belgian Royal Military Academy and continues to play a leadership role in the Belgian Armed Forces. He also studied at Trinity College, Oxford, and completed an MA in politics from Stanford. He devotes a great deal of his time in Belgium and abroad to such important issues as sustainable development and the concerns affecting the young. In his role as Honorary President of the Belgian Foreign Trade Office, the Prince promotes Belgian exports and leads trade missions throughout the world. On this visit to Canada, His Royal Highness is presiding over a delegation of Belgian representatives of industry federations and chambers of commerce. His presence confirms the great, long-lasting importance of the ties between our two peoples. Please join me in welcoming to our podium today His Royal Highness, the Duke of Brabant, Prince Philippe of Belgium.
Thank you, Madam President, for your kind words. It is a pleasure to be back in Canada, this great country, and a privilege for me to address such a distinguished audience here at the Canadian Club, where so many prestigious speakers have taken the floor. Canadians are very dear to our heart, and I'm delighted to visit your country at the head of an economic and business delegation from Belgium. Where better to start our contacts than here in the business heart of Toronto. I would like to take advantage of this distinguished forum to share with you some thoughts about what makes the friendship between Canada and Belgium so special. To a casual observer, Belgium and Canada seem to have little in common. Our countries are very different in size, in geographic location, in climate. Canada has innumerable natural resources, which we haven't. And for a long time, the history of our nations has developed along different lines. But when we look closer and do a proper analysis, we find that many things bring us together. Over the last century, we have forged a very warm friendship, and there are even quite a lot of striking resemblances. When Governor General Adrienne Clarkson spoke to you here at the club a year ago, she said that even Canadians find it difficult to really grasp how enormous and various Canada really is. She also said, and I quote, "To link Canada up in our minds, to have it feel like a real and united place, we must find ways to interact and to understand each other, to understand distant people and foreign lands." It is to the foreign and distant land of Belgium that so many young Canadians came in 1914 and again in 1944 to liberate us from oppression and war. They came from all over Canada, from Ontario and Quebec, and from Newfoundland, to stand shoulder to shoulder with our Belgian troops and with the other allies. Canadians know how precious freedom is. The freedom that is ours, the freedom that has marked our history and our territory, the freedom that unites us all. Wise words from Governor General Michael Jean. In the two world wars, thousands of young Canadians paid the ultimate price. They gave their lives to help us in Belgium, in Europe, regain our freedom. Surely, the most moving tribute to Canada's war dead has been written by your fellow Canadian John McCrae. He wrote his famous poem in the trenches near Ypres. In Flanders field, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our places. And if we are wearing poppies today, it is because of his inspiring words. Belgium may have been a distant land to many Canadians during the war, but Canada itself was also a faraway destination for Belgians who migrated here over the last 150 years. In 1869, Canada designated Belgium as a preferred country in its immigration policy. Over the decades, the provinces of Ontario, Quebec, and Manitoba welcomed thousands of Belgians who went to work in agriculture, tobacco farming, mining, and industry. Still today, active Belgian communities exist here in Ontario and in other provinces. I visited them a few years ago. The new generations are proud of their origins, but they also feel completely at home in Canada, because they are appreciated here for what they are: hardworking, loyal citizens who want to help build a prosperous, warm, tolerant society. Canadians and Belgians have shared many important moments in history. But today, in this complex 21st century, there are many more things we share. I think our countries have found similar answers to some of the key challenges of our time. Let me discuss two issues here: the way we organize our society and the way we shape our economy. If you were to ask me to draw up a list of the fundamental problems we are facing today, I would certainly include in my list the following question: how do we organize our society in such a way that people can live together in harmony? A lot of thinking is going on in Canada about this. There is the research done by two of your best-known philosophers, Charles Taylor and Will Kymlicka. Both are eminent thinkers on the role of the individual in society. Both have written extensively on, for instance, multiculturalism. And at the level of your institutions, there is Canada's own brand of federalism, with your own specific system of relations between Ottawa and the provinces and territories, and with the concept of open federalism launched by Prime Minister Harper. All these efforts by researchers and leaders, but also the day-by-day commitment of Canadians all over your vast territory, have turned Canada, country of immigration, into Canada model of multicultural integration. Belgium, with its own cultural, linguistic and religious diversity, also welcomes a lot of citizens whose origins lie elsewhere in Europe or in Africa, Asia or America. As an open economy with permeable frontiers, as a host country to major international institutions like the EU or NATO, and having been a trading nation for centuries, my country has also long since learned the benefits and challenges of a multicultural society. Canada and Belgium both are highly developed societies with a very high standard of living. We are also very complex societies, where the fundamental needs and rights of everyone have to be finally balanced. So we need to organize public life and the state in such a way that our citizens, whatever their background, can interact freely and understand one another in a multicultural setting. Both our countries have chosen federalism as an organizing principle. It is striking to see to what a degree views on federalism in Canada and Belgium converge. We know that federalism allows us to organize freedom in a context of diversity within unity. Federalism creates opportunities for people to develop an open mind. By open mind, I mean the capacity, when confronted with diversity, to see the world through the eyes of the others, to go beyond one's own horizon. This is true in federal systems, and all the more so in multicultural societies. Ladies and gentlemen, our economic and business delegation is convinced that Belgium and Canada have a rich portfolio of business activities to offer. Many Belgian companies are eager and capable to develop commercial and technological partnerships with foreign companies. Only a few Belgian companies have made it to the fortune list of the Global 500. But that should not fool us. In many specialist markets, Belgian companies have captured leadership positions because the focused and niche strategies of our companies have enabled them to develop products and services with unique characteristics. Belgian and Canadian companies alike face the rough edge of globalization, the constant pressure of resources needed for R&D, the never-ending search for highly qualified and motivated staff. Competition in open and free markets has challenged us and you to develop technologies and new ideas, in short, to innovate. Ladies and gentlemen, innovation is the key to our future. I'm not here to tell you what innovation is, but I can tell you that innovation needs a breeding ground where Belgium and Canada, I believe, have an advantage, taking into account the elements I just described, namely freedom, an open mind, and federalism. Freedom to innovate, an open mindset to build bridges between different institutions and to transcend one's own horizon. Federalism, too, can contribute to this innovative process, since it can bring together people and ideas from various horizons. All that will boost innovation. We in Belgium have taken that as a guiding principle. We have seen new companies emerge from a dynamic collaboration between universities and the business world. Both in manufacturing and services, cooperation in Belgium between enterprise and higher education institutes is well above the EU average, and indeed is among the highest in Europe. On average, Belgian companies contribute 11% of research and innovation spending in our higher education system. 15 to 20% of all patents come from the cooperation between universities and enterprises, and that number is rising. Let me give you one example. Belgium is number one in Europe for innovative research in pharmaceutical products. Together with the chemical industry, this sector is the biggest Belgian exporter to Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude. History, values, business. On these strong bonds hinge our friendship and our future. Freedom, federalism, and an open mindset underpin our society and form the bedrock of our two nations. There is so much we can and should do together. Thank you, Canada, for your friendship and your warm welcome. I wish you all happiness and success. Thank you.